The following video review is suitable for all ages. Viewers must acknowledge that they make purchasing decisions at their own risk.
Transformers Generations Power of the Primes Hun Gurrr. Yoroshiku.
Greetings, you two. Dagaho. Tony the Chang-Made with a Transformer in tow. Tony Kuroda on DeviantArt. Today we're looking at Voyager class Transformers Generations Power of the Primes Hun Gurrr. Say that 5 times. I follow tradition again by buying him at my local discount store. Didn't expect to find him unopened for about $6. $6 instead of the usual 25 to 30. Brings me back to when I found Magic the Gathering figures for about $5 each in 2016. Before I proceed, viewers must brace themselves for references to the Yakuza video game series. Why? I believe that Hun Gurrr almost resembles one of Yakuza's protagonists, Kazuma Kiryu, because of his color scheme and his dragon motif. You'll see once we look at the robot mode and torso mode. If there are Yakuza fans watching, hope that they're seeing similarities already. Some more trivia? This figure was released in early 2018, a few months before Yakuza 6 reached the States. Make of that what you will. Here's Hun Gurrr, in his two-headed wingless quadrupedal dragon mode. He's mostly painted cream white with some gray scattered all over. The fins are painted magenta. He has stickers in areas where extra paint and sculpting could have been. The dragon heads themselves lack extra paint, except for the red eyes. Despite that this figure was made from the same sculpt as Combiner Wars Silverbolt, Hun Gurrr does not completely resemble Silverbolt at all. That's decent engineering for a mass-produced figure. If anyone asks, I missed out on Silverbolt since he wasn't found anywhere in town, and no, I don't plan on reviewing him anytime soon. Dragon Mode Articulation. The necks are on a series of ratchets, swivels, and hinges. The swivels are rather tight, so be careful. The dragon heads themselves hinge up and down and left to right. The top half of the dragon head hinges up and down, while the lower jaws are on tight ratchets. Even an action figure's jaws are stronger than mine. The forelegs hinge forward and backward and ratchet in and out. The dragon's hind legs ratchet forward and backward and in and out. The thighs swivel. The hind knees hinge forward and backward. The dragon's feet can hinge forward and backward if you don't mind seeing the robot fist. The tail hinges up and down and can snap onto the dragon's body.
Before the transformation, let's look at his accessories. First, the 2 magenta foot pieces that will be the combiner robot Abominus's feet. Right now they're detachable cannons for Hun Gurr's 2 individual modes, given that they have blasters sculpted on one end. Peg them into his hind legs, like so. Then there's this Terracon Enigma piece, which is spray painted in yellow-orange and is adequately sculpted. Since I didn't focus on the Power of the Primes line back then, I didn't care much about these Enigmas. I can just insert this into one of the foot pieces and detach later on.
Finally, here's the collector's card that came with the figure. Nice artwork of Hun Gurrr in dragon mode, despite that there's little resemblance between that and the actual figure. On the back, there's a description that says that having the power of Amalgamous Prime transforms him into a being filled with mouths and stomachs. Unheard of, but not surprising, given that certain Transformers characters possessed powers ranging from teleportation to even necromancy. A quick heads up. This magenta piece that's within the tail was cracked right out of the box. This would have hinged and then snapped into place, showing additional fins on the tail in dragon mode. Since this piece would have to be pushed down and the fins hidden in robot mode anyway, I'll leave this pushed down indefinitely so that this won't break in two. Another reason to be glad that Hun Gurrr was only about $6. Time for transformation. Bear with me. Hinge and ratchet the dragon heads until they form a straight line. Flip this fin back, then straighten the dragon neck, forming a leg. Repeat this step on the other side. Ratchet the forelegs inwards. Rotate them all around until they're tucked away into the magenta painted plastic below. This step's easier off camera, I swear. Sure. Stand the figure up. Ratchet the shoulders down and out.
Hinge the dragon feet back, exposing the robot fists. Hinge the tail halfway down for now. Brace yourself, for these next few steps get a little trickier. Gently pull on Hun Gurr's tail until a chest compartment opens, revealing Hun Gurr's robot head. Use your other thumb to flip Hun Gurr's robot head assembly up. Next, line that head assembly with the chest compartment and the tail. Then push on the tail or the chest compartment to close all of that up. Hinge the tail down until the tail snaps in place. And here is Hun Gurrr in his robot mode. Excuse me while I blow off some steam in my backyard.
See ya! I know, my brawler style needs work. Behold Hun Gurrr, leader of his own Decepticon combat unit known as the Terrorcons. In the video though, I'm calling him the Decepticon of Dojima, or Kazuma Hun Gurryu. I still stand by my theory that Hun Gurrr looks like a robotic Kazuma Kiryu. Just look at him! Lean frame, white color scheme, and even his beast mode's dragon heads. Dragon heads that are now dress shoes for the robot mode. Even his face looks like Kiryu's thanks to angular facial features, his cheekbones, and his sculpted goatee. Might paint that goatee black later. If Hun Gurrr ever appears in future Japanese dubbed Transformers media, I can imagine Kiryu's voice actor, Takaya Kuroda, himself voicing him. Video game references aside, the robot mode is mostly solid thanks to the plastic parts holding the figure well, with very few loose parts, or kibble. The kibble in this case are the feet for the dragon's hind legs sticking out from the back of the forearms, and the backpack which becomes Abominus's chest. For those who have Combiner Wars Silverbolt, they both have similar engineering and parts, but said facts aren't as noticeable when looking at the rest of this figure. I almost forgot, these magenta painted cannons peg into Hun Gurr's forearms like so. They'll make do as blasters for the robot, but they look bulky on him. I'll keep them off afterwards. Besides, Kiryu often fought with his bare hands. I think that Hun Gurrr can do the same.
The robot mode's articulation. Heads on a ball joint, shoulders ratchet forward and backward, biceps swivel, plus shoulders ratchet in and out, elbows hinge forward and backward on a single joint. Now down to the legs. They move forward and backward on soft ratchets. They also ratchet in and out. There are thigh swivels, but they're tight, so be wary. The knees are on tight double hinges. The legs were originally the dragon necks after all. The ankles are on two hinges, as you can see. Finally, the articulation for the dragon head still applies here, if that serves any purpose.
For size comparisons, Hun Gurr's stands about 7 inches, making him a slightly tall Voyager-class figure nowadays. He's still shorter than the 7¼ inch tall Combiner Wars Motormaster though. Here's a photo of Motormaster for a rough comparison, since I don't feel like showing him on camera. Here's Hun Gurrr standing alongside Masters of the Universe Classics Adora. Hun Gurr's only slightly taller.
Now on to torso mode. Again, bear with me. Hinge the elbows straight until they snap in place. Ratchet the shoulders up until the arms face the ceiling, or the sky if you're outside. Flip the fists up for now. Rotate both biceps 180 degrees. Hinge the fists down and then the dragon feet afterwards. Untab the dragon tail and then pull so that you'll open the robot mode's chest compartment again. Still feels tedious, honestly. Hinge the robot head assembly back into the robot's body. Close the opening again by pressing on the chest compartment or the tail. If you need to, lay the figure down, and then hinge and ratchet the dragon heads shut. Hinge the dragon heads until they tuck away into Hun Gurr's legs, or the dragon necks depending on which mode that he's in. Use the robot mode's thigh swivels to turn the legs inwards. Turn gently, or else risk breaking the parts within. Ratchet the legs up by one click. Turn the figure around, and then stand Hun Gurrr on his robot arms if you need to for this next step. Hinge the dragon legs out of the chest compartment. Then ratchet them until both forelegs are facing the front. Improvise if you have to. Untab this magenta piece and then accordion said piece up. Turn the figure around and then hinge this head assembly up. Hinge the tail up to close that space. Hinge the top portion of the head assembly and then push until that notch tabs into the magenta piece. Hinge these fins down to expose the combiner ports. These remaining steps are unseen, so you'll have to go by instinct. Ratchet the dragon legs until the gray plastic will fit into slots on the head assembly that aren't shown here. Then you'll be able to connect these tabs shown at the bottom. Tab the dragon's foreleg into this slot like so. Repeat this for the other foreleg. Don't forget the antennae behind Abominus's head. Flip them up, even if they seem to be stuck. After that's done, Abominus's torso mode is complete.
Hun Gurrr as Abominus's torso mode also looks good. He's designed well enough to not have any dragon parts shown, thanks to most parts connecting to most places. Since I don't have any Terracon figures, I can't show how they'll combine with the torso to form Abominus. What I can do, though, is show off this chest compartment which houses the Terracon Enigma piece from earlier. Slide that in and close the hatch. I'll store that piece there from now on, since that has no further use. Then we get to Abominus's face, which also looks like Kiryu's. Again, angular facial features and cheekbones, plus the scowl. As for the goatee, I drew that in with a black rolling ball pen. Couldn't resist. The actual robot face is all magenta beneath the yellow painted visor, if you must know.
On his own, Hun Gurrr is a decent figure despite tight and loose joints and potentially fragile parts. I stress the words tight and fragile. Handle with care if you own this one, especially when moving the dragon head / robot legs. Yakuza fans are free to buy Hun Gurrr on their own, considering who he looks like in different modes. Whether or not Hasbro thought of the Yakuza games while designing this figure remains unknown. This may be a long shot, but I can imagine a Yakuza / Transformers crossover in the future. That's rad.